Step 1. We need to be sure that the hot water tank has isolation valves on the cold water and the hot water lines. Most hot water tanks come equipped with a valve already on the cold water supply. We need to install one on the hot water coming out from the tank. If you're not completely comfortable with soldering, what I like to use are these shark bite fittings. Shark bite are just push fittings. So what we need to do is cut a valve in on the hot water line. This being the hot water line, this being the cold water line. We do so by taking our copper cutters and making a cut in the copper to allow space to put our valve in. You can use small mini cutters or the larger cutters, depending on the space allowed. We will eventually get through the copper. Once we have cut the copper, we simply push on the shark bite valve onto the copper, like so. Push and then push again to make sure it is on. I have shown you how easy it is to cut in the shark bite fittings. Always remember to shut off your water supply to the system before you initiate cutting in the valves. So what I've done here, I've proceeded to install all the valves required for the initial setup for the Clozer. And I'd like to go through those valves for you. Like I mentioned earlier, there's usually a valve on the cold water supply line to the hot water tank. We have now installed one on the hot water side of the hot water tank. That isolates this tank so that when we're pumping non-toxic plumbing antifreeze into the system, that it does not fill the hot water tank. You continue to drain the hot water tank as normal. You shut the power supply off or the fuel supply off to your hot water tank and start it draining. What I have done, I have installed a valve here on the hot water tank side of the isolation valve. This valve will allow air to enter the tank so that the tank drains properly. A lot of people operate the relief valve to allow air to enter the tank, preventing airlock to drain the tank. I have found on several occasions that when you close the relief valve again, that a lot of times it doesn't properly seat and tends to leak when you go back on startup. I've seen where some people plug the relief valve because it's leaking. That is a no-no. Never ever plug the relief valve. It is a safety valve for the hot water tank. So what we have so far is the two isolation valves and the valve to allow the air to enter the tank for proper draining. Now what we need to install, on the hot water line we install another sediment faucet valve. This valve is installed so that we can join the hot and cold water lines together with your basic washing machine hose. Thus we've installed one on the cold water line. We're going to twin these together later with the wash machine hose so that when you're winterizing with your Clozer, you're winterizing, pumping plumbing antifreeze into both lines at the same time. This valve here is installed to connect the Clozer to the plumbing system. It's installed on the cold water line. Congratulations, you have now completed the setup for the Clozer. You can now start to drain your hot water tank as normal. Be sure your power supply is shut off or your fuel supply to the tank, and you can start it draining now. Simply open the drain on the tank, allow it to drain to a safe location, and open the valve that we have installed to let the air into the tank. The hot water tank is now draining while you're proceeding to winterize your water lines and drain traps. That brings us to the Clozer. So what we do with the Clozer is we want to fill the hopper with plumbing antifreeze. We do that through this 4-inch fill spout. The large fill spout makes it less likely to be spilling the antifreeze all over the place. And for time saving here, I will put 2 jugs in. This plumbing antifreeze is non-toxic, and I'm using a -50 plumbing antifreeze. Good for copper pipe and plastic pipe. After filling the hopper with plumbing antifreeze, I replace the lid to be sure that no foreign material is going to enter the hopper. The next step is to connect the closer to your plumbing system. You do so by using a short utility hose with a male and female end. Connect the male end to the closer through the connection here on the side. We'll snug that up in a minute. And you connect the female end to the valve that we have installed here to connect the closer to. That allows you to pump the plumbing antifreeze into your hot and cold water lines. Put them on, we'll give them a little snug so they don't leak. All valves are currently in the closed position except for the valve that we've opened to allow air to enter the tank. The next step, we want to twin, as I said before, the hot and cold water lines together so that we're winterizing both lines at the same time. You do that with your basic washing machine hose. It can be a braided hose or just a rubber hose. You connect one side to the valve we installed on the hot water line. And the other end to the valve we installed on the cold water line. Probably should have my glasses on. And again, we'll give them a little snug. On the cold and on the hot. You are now ready to winterize your hot and cold water lines and drain troughs. These 2 lines here off the top, the clear plastic lines, represent the plumbing in your cottage. So the first thing we're going to do, now that this is filled, we're going to connect regular extension cord, female end, to the electrical connection on the side of the closer. The closer will come on, build approximately 60 pounds, and then shut off automatically. There, we have now pressurized our line right up to our valve that feeds into your plumbing system. We can now open that valve. As you can see, some of the plumbing antifreeze is entering the system through the cold water line. What we want to do now is open our jumper line between the hot and cold so that we're filling both lines at the same time. So now, when our closer is pumping into the system, it's doing the cold water line, coming across here, and doing the hot water line at the same time. Now, all we have to do now is you have to proceed to every fixture and turn on the tap until you get pink antifreeze coming in. First, go to the cold, turn it on. Clozer will force the water that is in the pipes already out. You probably see water first, antifreeze second. You let it run until you're getting good pink antifreeze coming through. After doing the cold, you proceed to the hot. Same scenario. Clozer is forcing the water out of the water line, displacing it, replacing it with plumbing antifreeze. Once you are satisfied that you have good pink coming out antifreeze, close the valve and that fixture is done. You then proceed to every fixture in the house. Your toilet, your basin, laundry tub, and so on. In order to properly winterize your water lines, you must draw from every item connected to those water lines. No matter what your piping configuration is, whether your pipes sag or loop, the Clozer will completely fill them with non-toxic plumbing antifreeze. Once you are completely satisfied that you are getting good pink antifreeze out of every fixture and appliance, you are done winterizing. For proper winterizing of your appliances such as dishwasher and clothes washer, please refer to our website, www.theclozer.ca, or your user manual. We at The Clozer want you to be completely satisfied and confident in using our product. Our staff is ready to answer any questions you may have concerning The Clozer. Our contact information will be posted at the end of this video. Thank you for listening to me and enjoy your vacation time.